Hey 522 crew, it's your girl Christine, and I'm so excited for you guys to see the conversation that I had with Morgan J. She has an amazing EP out, Angel Pop 2, and before you listen to it, after you listen to it, whatever you want to do, you want to watch this interview, get to know her a little bit better. Are you ready? I don't think I'm ready, but let's get ready. Hey Morgan, it's so great to meet you. Welcome to 522 Culture. So tell me, how did you get started with this music?
Hey, well, nice to meet you, sis. I actually been doing music since I was 19, like recording music. Before that, I had an eclectic sound, like the sound that I have now, but it was more of not glorifying God. Before I was Morgan J, I was called somebody Kitty Lux. Just doing, just trying to discover myself. And then when I finally gave myself completely to the Lord at 20, that's when I was like, why don't I just call myself my name, like Morgan J, like just keep it that, you know? So I've been singing since I was 11 years old. I've always been artistic, creating. The thing about being a creator, like we don't just stop in one arena of like singing or whatever. Like it starts like with little journaling and like drawing little pictures, like and all that, and just like just creating. You know how like people are into tech and stuff and science, like that's not my interest. My interest is like being connected to the main creator too, who gives us all the creativity in the world.
I love that. Listen, I can relate. You know how they say the left side of your brain and the right side of your brain, and one of them is good at math and science, and the other one is good at, art and creativity.
So the left side is the numbers and the technicality of things.
I'm definitely the art and creativity side, so I completely get it. So now, did you grow up in church? Was that something that your family pushed you into? Was that something that came naturally to you, a progression in your life? What was that journey like for you?
Oh, so it was definitely a thing between me and God. I didn't grow up in the church. There was a Bible in my house, but there was never like routine of going to church every Sunday or talking about God and Jesus. Honestly, I didn't even think Jesus was the main component to everything till I was like 19. I always thought it was like God this, and I've learned that it's actually like everything is connected to the name Jesus rather than just saying God. So to be honest, there was no talk about Jesus in the house. Yes, everybody knows who Jesus is, but there was no, you know, in the house like that. It was just us living life and just going morally living.
Yeah, so if you don't mind me asking, what was that moment for you? Was it a moment? Was it something that happened over time? How did you know, like, this is what I got to do in my life?
I would say demons. Demons. And I'm like, what is this? What is this feeling? What is this darkness? And how do I get out of this darkness? And I always everybody's taught that it's through Jesus and God. So I went from there. I started fasting. Once I started fasting, that's when I knew for myself that Jesus was real. Like the things that was happening, the revelations that was coming, the connectedness. And I'm like, this is a good place to be. Like, this is where I want to be. And I want to be here for the rest of my life. Though I know I'm going to be continuously going from glory to glory, I still want to be here. Like, I want to be connected to Jesus. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. I'm glad you shared that. I can definitely relate. And, I think it's really interesting because we hear stories and we see people's experiences where, it's more subtle and they don't know what that influence is. And then you see people who, that thing is coming at them. They see what it is very blatantly. So what was your experience?
to be honest, I think that the spiritual thing was always in me since I was a child. Like I used to experience like supernatural stuff when I was a child, but there was no teaching of me how to battle that type of stuff. So I feel like the most supernatural scary stuff I experienced is when I was a child, like when I was most vulnerable. So when I was an adult, it just kind of brought me, like when that moment happened, it kind of was like a flashback of how it was when I was a child. And I was like, no, I do not want it, like this scary thing. And then that's when it was like, I was like, I need to get to Jesus. And now Jesus is here. I got the antidote. I have the cheat code for my family. I have the cheat code for my son. And I have a cheat code for those around me in the church community, like praying for them and, being vulnerable with them so they can pray for me so that I can gain more godly energy, and just praying for each other. Like, it's just so good to have like people in your corner praying for you. Because it's like we can do so much for that strength, but like extra prayer is always good.
Wow, I love that you said that because so many moms feel that they have to put their identity on hold for their kids. And I get it, right? Like, bills are real, life happens, and sometimes you have to put your dreams on hold. So I love that you're pursuing Morgan J, that you're still able to make music and do what you need to do. So, how are you able to balance that? Being Morgan J, putting out bomb music, and then also being Baby Boy's mommy.
Like, honestly, I never wanted to be a mother, but God gives you strength and it just becomes habitual. It's nothing like too hard. Like, media would try to tell you, like, oh, you're a mom. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also an individual. Like, I'm still living. Like, that's not going to stop anything.
That makes so much sense. And it's so important to take care of you and live for the child in you, right?
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm very mature, but I'm a big kid at heart. I'm like, I have like a little child in me, and I think God is just bringing that out. Whatever, like what was taken away from me as a child, like He's bringing that little child back in me as an adult to enjoy. Like it's wild how He's doing it, and I'm just like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm like, so you was paying attention the whole time?
The whole time. Restoration, Lord, you are a restorer. I love that. I love that.
Restoration. That's the word, sis. Restoration.
Yes. So now that we got all of that out the way, let's get into some music. So let's talk Angel Pop 2. It's your latest EP. And talk to me about what Angel Pop is. Like, what genre? Is it pop?
That's why I made the word angel pop.
Yeah.
So the root word of pop means popular. So once you connect that to angel, it's basically saying like, this is the music that you would hear in heaven. Like, this is the music that would be popular in heaven. Like, it might not get much notoriety here, but in heaven, like, they're rejoicing. So that's what it meant.
Oh, I love that. It's funny because I think a lot of faith based music for a long time was just a couple of categories, right? It was like gospel, it was contemporary. Now we're starting to see hip hop being accepted, but there are still so many untouched genres and sounds. And I love that we hear these sounds coming out now that sound like something that could be on the radio. And honestly, Angel Pop 1 and 2 are things that I would listen to regardless, like faith or no faith. And so, it's just a vibe. And so, thank you for being that person to say, I'm going to make that. And that's what 522 culture is all about, to be honest, is just putting out that inspirational content that makes people feel good. Even if you are in your feelings and this song speaks to your feelings, you're not going to stay stuck in your feelings. So, tell me, what is the major difference between Angel Pop 1, which I loved, stream that guys, and Angel Pop 2? What would you say is the difference in your inspiration and where you were going? What was your goal with each?
The direction I went with this project was more of an eerie sound. It was going for more of a meditative sound. Like I know that the first project was kind of like that, but I wanted to make it a little bit more meditative. So just allowing people to meditate on the peace of God more than just, instead of me always talk about my problems like I was in the last one, but mainly just talking about the peace more. And sometimes that could be boring for people, but honestly, it's healing for a lot of people, like the peaceful sound. So, like, whoever listens to this and it feels healing for them, then glory to God.
Nice. So, is there a song, even though I know a lot of artists say, oh, I love all my songs, all the songs are great, but if I had to ask you, which I am, which song were you stuck on after you made it? Or are you stuck on now off of Angel Pop 2?
Let me think. I would go to Crazy because that's the one I did last minute. And when I made that one last minute, like something was just coming over me, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I kept listening to it till I got tired of it. And I was like, "This is gonna be good." He loves me. You got to know this thing, though it might seem crazy. God is not lazy. It's part of His plan.
Crazy is definitely my favorite. And then my second favorite would have to be Sent
And
from God.
sometimes my attitude will be very nasty, but you're so godly, but you're so godly, but you're so godly, so you're my baby.
Oh, I love that song. So it was real, right? It's saying sometimes I get an attitude, I might wake up next to you, breath stank. What made you write this? What was the inspiration?
The inspiration of that song, I basically wrote that for my future husband, and God just downloaded it onto me, like basically like saying that like whenever I meet you, like you're gonna be godly to the point that all this extra stuff, like the ugly parts, none of that is gonna matter. But if we both have the Holy Spirit in us, like that's just magical. Like that's just that's just that's just overwhelming. So like all that is gonna outshine all the crazy stuff, which I have. Like that's what I was saying. Like I have an attitude, and some days you're just not gonna be a boy. You know how men are, and it's like we're gonna be okay because we have God together. So it's just like, yeah.
Listen, I'm a play that for my future husband too, sis. Like that's gonna be my prayer to God. So church hurt. Let's talk about it because usually I think two things happen when people experience church hurt, or one of two things. Other things can happen, but these are the two extremes that I see. Is that people will sweep their church hurt under the rug, keep it moving, and internalize all of this pain. Or people are just like, oh, I'm good off church. Like I'm not doing that anymore. And so, you wrote about this.
Hurts the worst. It does. Hurts the worst. Where's the love and all? I hoped to accomplish some understanding, um, and that I wasn't alone in church hurt, and to let other people know that they aren't alone in experiencing any type of rejection in a place that's supposed to be a place of healing. So, and basically just letting them know, like, if you have a personal relationship with Jesus, like that shouldn't stop you from going after His heart. just because other people had made you feel a certain type of way.
So, what would you say to encourage people who are experiencing that and don't know what to do?
I would say hold on to hope and know that anything is possible. And situations like that do happen, it happens for a reason sometimes. And maybe that isn't your church home. So sometimes that happens because that isn't the place where God wants you to be. Like maybe that's not a place that you will have any growth in. So I would say hold on to hope, but allow yourself to feel from church hurt too, so that you can be open to receiving real community. Because when you do get real community, it's amazing. And sometimes that's like the enemy's ploy is to knock you off from like engaging in real community. So, and I can see that. That could have possibly what the enemy was trying to do was isolate me again from people. So, like life isn't perfect. Like you gotta get like you fall down, but you gotta get back up and try again until it gets right. With the help of God, you can do anything.
I love that. So, if anyone stalks your social media like I did, then we know that you got some sauce, okay? You have some style, you have an aesthetic going on. So, let's talk about that and how that's translating and what you're doing in this fashion space.
Basically, I just created some tote bags and basic shirts. I'm like, though I'm a creative, I like to keep a balance in my life. So I'm very minimalistic because I'm like, there's so much going on here. Like everything else needs to be just like chilled out. So the shirts are very minimalistic. It has a saying that just says God is not lazy, and you can either get it in black or you can get it in gray with white letters. And then the tote bag is in black letters, and it's just a basic natural beige color. Just something that everybody can get, men, boys, girls, and women can get it, or even your grandfather's grandmother. So basically, I just wanted to make it available to everyone. So you just spread the encouragement that God isn't lazy to everyone. Like whether you go in, I'm in Whole Foods right now, like in Whole Foods with your tote bag, or just out with your shirt, and people like, hey, they get a glimpse of like, yeah, you're right. Like God isn't taking his time. He has a plan for sure.
Morgan J, I appreciate all of your time. We had a blast just talking, getting to know you more. So before I let you go, let us know how we can support you.
Ways to support me, you can get a t-shirt or a tote bag. Um, and I just say that basically look out for me doing some live shows soon because I'm going to get that rolling very soon.
Progression music.